What you've got to do is evaluate and get better. You know, we got to play better fundamental football. We've got to block and tackle. And you know, on Saturday, we didn't tackle very well. We didn't fundamentally tackle very well. And so you go back to, you know, going back to practice and going good versus good, and we've got to block and tackle, you know, a lot better than we have.
Have you ever been in this situation this late in the year where you feel yourself saying that the basics just aren't happening?
I'm sure at certain points you have. You know, we've got to get our guys to where they're playing fast and with confidence in all three phases. And, you know, we'll have 8 or 9 guys doing that, but the 1 or 2 guys or 3 guys on a particular play, for whatever reason, aren't. We've got to get the whole unit playing consistently. And, you know, it's a matter of just keep practicing. You know, I thought at the beginning of the season we're going to be a lot better team in November than we were, you know, September 1, you know, because we're a young team and we got to continue to practice. It's why we've altered our practice schedule. We're just going to continue to be a work in progress until it finally clicks.
Is there something that you think will help you get over that threshold? Is there something that you haven't seen yet that you think if it happens, that'll make the difference?
There's no magic elixir to this thing. You've got to fight your way out. You've got to continue to work hard. And I was really encouraged by the way our guys showed up Sunday afterwards. You know, you would think there would be a look of discouragement, and nobody was happy, but there was a look of resolve. There was a chip on their shoulder. They went out to practice and practice with energy and practice to get better. And as long as we keep doing that, we'll make progress, and eventually this nut's going to crack. Well, I think we got to work in all 3 phases, but I think in special teams, we're much improved. Both our coverage units and our return units. I think Blake Cusick hasn't been 100% consistent, but he's played very, very well for a freshman. And so, you know, special teams I think is getting close to where we want them to be. It's not a matter of scheme. If I thought there was issues scheme-wise, I might. If there's an issue of lack of effort, you know, I might. But that's not the case at all. Our guys are giving great effort. Our guys are willing and wanting to go to practice every week and are putting in the time. We've got to get them to have some success so they have some confidence, and that's the whole key. If there's that lingering doubt in the back of your mind, you're not playing fast. And we've got a few guys that are doing that right now, and we've got to continue to push and have, you know, more competition in practice so that we can get to that point.
Coach, you mentioned fundamentals and tackling. Big play where you guys nearly had a safety, and it turns into one of the UNLV's biggest rushing touchdowns in their history. You kind of see those missed tackles, something that you really worked on and went over that. Because it almost seemed like some of the players thought that the quarterback was going to go out of the sideline and just left.
Well, they didn't just let him walk. You know, they did a good job of blocking. We took some bad angles to the quarterback. You know, I don't think they anticipated the speed of their quarterback. What you've got to do in those situations is take proper angles. It's something we worked on yesterday at practice. Guys got to understand that there are no assumptions. You got to assume that you're the one that has to make the tackle all the time. So you got to, you know, bust your tail to the ball, and you got to get there in a bad frame of mind and make a tackle. And we didn't finish tackles the other night.
Coach, you guys are going to be preparing to go up against probably one of the toughest running backs in the Mountain West, James Butler. How do you prepare for a guy like that, and what does he bring that you haven't seen maybe this season?
Well, you know, it goes back to fundamentals. We're going to, you know, continue to practice good versus good against each other. Butler is a very explosive back. He runs with great balance. He's strong. He does a great job spinning and making the first guy miss. And then when he does, he's got a burst where he can run away from guys. And so he's obviously their you know, leading threat that we've got to be concerned with. And we got to get multiple guys to the ball because he's shown against everybody that he can make guys miss. So you've got to have great effort to the ball. Well, we both started out on the road 0-1, and if you want to be a factor in this league race, you've got to win, obviously. So, to start 0-2 is going to be very difficult for anybody to win the conference. Nevada knows that. They've got a senior quarterback, some senior receivers that they were picked one of the teams that were supposed to be the higher end of our division. So their backs against the wall, our backs are against the wall. So in that sense, yeah, there's some similarities. We've got to go on the road and do it in Reno. We've been there and had some success the last couple of years. When everybody counted the dogs out 2 years ago, our guys showed up, and I expect our guys to show up this coming Saturday.
The secondary seemed to get you last year with Nevada. How do you guys prepare for Baber and Rufus back there?
We're going to run our offense. They're good players. We just have to execute on offense. They did a good job of forcing some turnovers last year, and we can't do that. We've got to win the turnover battle, and we've got to create some on our end. We were close the other night. James Bailey had a couple balls in his hands that we didn't finish. We thought we had a forced fumble. It didn't happen. We've got to create takeaways. The last couple of years, I think it was 6 or 7 takeaways we created in Reno, which directly resulted in us having success.
Jim, how difficult has it been to develop Jason when it looks like he's not getting a lot of time sometimes, and then when he does get time, it looks like he's still hurrying some throws maybe?
Well, anytime you have a freshman quarterback going through, playing Division I football for the first time, there's a process. And, yeah, you'd love to have, 100% protection and where he can feel confident in the pocket. I don't know that you're ever going to have that anywhere. But he's doing a better job. He's got to be able to feel comfortable in there to stand in and make the throws. I think part of his accuracy issues are, he's sensing that maybe that's not, getting done. But I do feel he's making progress. Having said that, every position is going to have competition. So, we're going to, continue to push him, and I know he's going to continue to push.
The quarterback competition?
Well, the quarterback competition is always being pushed so that he knows, hey, I've got to keep playing. But Chasen's our quarterback, and we got to continue to progress him.
So you're not going to split reps with
No. There's no plan. Yeah, don't read into that. Sorry.
At this point, why wouldn't you, Coach, give Zach Klein a shot at it, given the results? I mean, you talk about Chasen being young, but you just got beat by a guy starting his first game. I mean, even less experienced than Chasen, throwing it and running it and beating you guys. And Chasen had, statistically, percentage-wise, his worst game throwing the ball. Is it something where maybe some time on the sideline watching somebody else could benefit him in that progression that we talk about every week?
Well, it's like I say, every position. Every position is going to have competition, and if things aren't getting done, you have to look at that. But I also think that, when you put that quarterback in that position where he's, looking over his shoulder, that's not a great position to be in. And, sometimes you've got to look at changing things up. And we'll look at that in practice. But as far as splitting reps, with the ones, Zach will get his normal reps and Chasen will get his normal reps.
So Chasen will start Saturday, no matter what.
Well, we're anticipating he's not going to get hurt or anything like that. Right. So I hesitate to say no matter what. I guess we lost a guy Thursday at practice in non-contact, so. Right.
Speaking of injuries, Robert Stanley not likely to play against Nevada?
Right now it's doubtful. We'll see more today, but he's got a lower leg injury that our trainers say could be a week, could be 2. But they have to evaluate it day to day.
This week we talked a lot about Charles Williams being a storyline, local kid from Bullard High who played for UNLV, plays for UNLV. Nevada has a lot of local players as well. Rufus was just brought up, a kid from Bakersfield. When you look at the opposing sideline and you see a team that recruits the Valley very well, what's your take on that? What's your impression? What do you hear from high school coaches? Does it maybe change your recruiting process when you see guys have success on the other side in conference?
Well, it's no doubt that there's good football players here in the entire Valley. And so when you're in a state like Nevada, where they don't have as many just numerically Division I football players, they're going to recruit in the areas that do, and that's right here. So, we know Rufus is a good player. I don't know who else you might be referring to, but there's good players here, and we're going to try to sign every good player here in the Valley first. But guys make decisions based on all kinds of different criteria. When I was in Reno, you know, guys didn't want to stay in Reno sometimes. Lucas McKenzie, we signed. He was originally committed to Nevada. I mean, that just happens in recruiting. It becomes magnified when someone has success against you like last week. But recruiting's recruiting, and you make your best evaluations. You go hard after the players you want, and ultimately it's up to the young men to make the decision.
I don't want to paint you into a corner here or anything, but what would it take to make a quarterback change? I'm not saying that's the only problem with this team, but you brought a guy in as a grad transfer when he was at Cal and didn't get that job and came here obviously because he thought he had a chance to play, and the results that the current quarterback is producing aren't knocking anyone's socks off. Is it just that once you made that decision at the start of the year, that was it? You didn't want to change? Or?
No, it's not being stubborn, or hey, this is our decision, we're going forward. That's why I mentioned there's always going to be competition at all positions. When you're trying to develop a quarterback, I think there's a different, I don't want to say standard, but you've got to have some leeway, because when you see it for the first time, it's going to be difficult. And whether we switch quarterbacks, if there's pressure, I don't know that Zach would do any better than Chasen would.
I guess what do you have to lose is the question at this point.
Well, I understand your question. The ball game. We all believe in Chasen, and if we got to the point where we didn't think he was going to be effective in leading our team, we'd have to feel like we'd have to make a change.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think he's a very strong, mentally tough kid. But we're not talking about that. That we're not talking. He's going to be our starting quarterback. So, but he's got to perform just like everybody has to perform.
Tim, you mentioned when we were talking about the Valley guys and what Charles did, that it kind of becomes magnified when he has a game like that. Did you talk to him after the game?
I told him congratulations.
Does it make it any harder? A back has a game like that, and it's a guy from the backyard.
I don't know that it makes it any harder. Again, I said last week we thought he was a terrific football player. We would have liked to have had him. The way recruiting works, you have a blueprint. You can only take so many guys, and you have different criteria what you're looking at. And so, unfortunately, we didn't have a spot for him, and he found a home at UNLV. When those things happen, you got to play against somebody. And he had a terrific game, so hats off to him. But we like the players we have here. Unfortunately, a bunch of them had surgeries and aren't able to play right now.
Speaking of, we didn't see Oglesby or Savion Johnson in that game. Chance we see one or both against Nevada?
Yeah, they're getting better each week. Bryson's still coming off that that injury, so he's not quite at 100%. But Savion's getting closer.
In tough times like these, anything in particular that you turn to, or any mentors that you talk to, or people that kind of help you manage the situation?
Yeah, I've got some coaching mentors that I hear from. One of the common axioms in coaching is tough times don't last, tough people do. And I've been in seasons where you go through tough times like this, and you just got to lock arms and ignore the outside noise and continue to do what you know is going to lead you to be successful. And the thing that's really encouraging to me is there's no infighting, with our players, with our staff. I've been at places where that's, not been the case, where you start having guys point fingers at the other. We got a bunch of thumb pointers in our team. Hey, let's look at me. Let's start here, and we'll go from there. And as long as we do that, our team will grow, and we'll have success. Now, when that's going to happen, hopefully it starts this weekend. But I know our players are working each and every week to get there, and we're getting better. It doesn't always show it. We scratched back in that game. It's 21-10 in the third quarter. We have a couple. They're backed up. We force a fumble. We think we get the ball in the 6. We get that score right there. I think it's a different ball game. Unfortunately, the officials saw it differently, and that's football. We've got to do a better job reacting to adversity. But those margins of winning and losing are very, very small, and we've got to make those plays, and take advantage of them. And if it doesn't go our way, we got to do a better job handling the adversity.
Coach, how do you explain the lack of success in defending the run, not just this year, but the last couple? I mean, if you look at the averages right now, your defense has given up 281 yards on the ground. Last year, last 3 years, I think Nevada's ran for over 200 yards. I mean, I know guys miss assignments from time to time, but it seems to be an ongoing issue.
Well, I think you have to look at it individually. You can't look at it collectively. Last week, UNLV came in, they're going to run the football. They were averaging 250 yards a game rushing. That's what they do. We gave up one play of 91 yards to one player. We had a couple other plays. You'd like to think you can get the guy down on a 3rd and 11. You take that away, and they're right at their 250-yard average. So, you play Nebraska. They're running the football against everybody. Part of it is who you're playing against. Toledo's got a terrific offense. I think they ran for 300-something against BYU. BYU's got a good defense. Part of it's who you play, but you've got to play better. And it comes down to fitting gaps the right way, understanding where to be, getting multiple guys to the football, playing fast so that you can do that, and then just executing, tackles, wrapping up, running your feet, not diving. And we had too many guys trying for a blow-up shot, running into guys, trying to blow them up and not wrapping up.
What do you say to those folks whose patience is wearing thin? Because I'm sure there are days where your patience wears thin. This is hard on everybody. But for the fans who say, hey, I've been watching and, 2 wins against FBS competition in the last 19 games, and the only team that has fewer is Kansas in the whole country. And when is it going to change? Is there something that you would tell those people that says it is going to change and this is why we believe it's going to change?
Well, it's going to change. It's going to change because I see the progress that our team's making. I see the fight in them. And I see our coaches coaching our guys up. What we've got to do is get our guys to that point where they're confident making plays. They're confident going out and playing fast. We've got some terrific young football players that have to take that next step and not just be great practice players, but go do it on Saturdays.